The most striking thing about Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani's press conference on Thursday was the immediate dismissal that it got from most of the media. Look at what they were alleging: wholesale election fraud, stealing a presidential election right under our noses in the world's greatest democratic superpower, reducing the shining beacon on a hill to a mere pinlight. There has been nothing like this in the history of our country, ever. And the media can't risk looking at it. They instinctively know that, like looking straight at the sun, it would cause them permanent injury. But if this is true, it explains a lot of very strange anomalies that we've seen in the vote. Russell Ramsland, who is co-owner of Allied Security Operations Group, which specializes in election fraud detection, has looked at the Michigan vote and claims that it is a physical impossibility. According to a story on thenationalfile.com, Ramsland served in the Reagan administration and has worked for both MIT and NASA. He must be one of the thousands of sworn affidavits that Giuliani was referring to on Thursday. Ramsland swore that he had determined, no question, that vote tampering took place in Michigan and that given significant anomalies and red flags, the results could not possibly have happened otherwise. He addressed the vulnerabilities of the Dominion voting system, saying that experts had already known about these and written about them extensively. He called the system logs essentially unprotected, meaning that any alterations to the tabulations would be undetectable. He said anyone with an elementary knowledge of computer systems could arbitrarily add, modify, or remove log entries, causing a log event to take place. His colleague, Dr. Andrew Appel, described how a hack could easily be accomplished, creating a memory stick and then 7 minutes alone with the machine and a screwdriver. Now here's one red flag. There are a stunning 3,276 precincts where the presidential votes cast compared to the estimated voters ranges from 84% to 350%. 431,954 excess ballots. Now this is one of the problems Giuliani was talking about. At least 19 townships or precincts have more votes than registered voters, and some way more. The biggest red flag is those spikes that Giuliani also mentioned. The spikes are strongly indicative of a manual adjustment, either by the operator of the system or by outside actors. And this is what convinced Ramsland that a crime did occur. Quote, in the data are 4 spikes totaling 384,733 ballots allegedly processed in a combined interval of only 2 hours and 38 minutes. This is physically impossible given the available equipment at the 4 reference locations, end quote. Look, I get it, that's kind of complicated, but follow along. Other computer security experts have disputed Ramsland's qualifications as an election systems expert, and they say that, well, he's promoted vote fraud claims before without producing any evidence. He's also claimed that vote tallies were uploaded to a database outside the U.S. controlled by a company called Skittle. Both Skittle and Dominion denied that, Dominion even saying that it would be illegal under U.S. election law for Skittle to control votes cast and tabulated in the United States. Ramsland also allegedly made an error in an affidavit filed by Lynn Wood in his Georgia case, confusing some districts in Minnesota for Michigan districts. Now, these kind of mistakes, disputes, and conflicts can't be in a legal filing when you're asking a court or legislature to throw out thousands of votes. Just because something could have happened or seemed to happen, let's face it, that does not in itself prove that it did change the course of the outcome of the election. Anecdotal or statistical anomalies are not enough. You still have to have solid evidence. Besides, how do you prove alterations were made by the thousands, perhaps millions, if the experts say they're undetectable? The thought of making such a case, especially to people whose natural reactions range from dismissive to outright hostile to even murderous, well, that's daunting. Powell and her team have just a few days to build their case and then have to get it heard. And it's going to have to be ironclad to get anyone to hear it. Alan Dershowitz, the law professor from Harvard, thinks the effort might be worth it in Pennsylvania. Rudy Giuliani did go on Hannity Thursday night for one segment talking about coordination among 10 Democrat-controlled cities. If that's the case, they're planning to make in the next week or two, well, they've got their work cut out for them. That does sound like conspiracy theory if you don't have hard evidence. Then John Solomon claims to have some hard evidence from prominent mathematician Stephen Miller. We do need to give Powell and her team a few precious days. Lack of time is the main challenge they certainly have. What's really critical is not what Powell says tonight on TV, but it's the case that she presents in a courtroom before a judge or maybe a panel of justices. If it turns out she was just blowing smoke, which would be highly out of character for her, then she deserves criticism from all sides. Goodness, her career and reputation will be ruined if she's doing that, and she surely knows it. Powell, Giuliani, and their team are already enduring vicious criticism, as well as threats of violence from Trump's wacko adversaries. I mean, it's gotten so bad for Trump attorney Linda Kearns in Philadelphia that she was placed under protection and allowed by the judge to withdraw from the case. The anti-Trump group, the Lincoln Project, which has hundreds of thousands of social media followers, has suggested that people target Trump attorneys. And to my knowledge, neither Joe, the unifier Biden, nor any other Democrat leaders have even denounced them. They bullied the law firm of Porter, Wright, Morris, and Arthur into withdrawing from the Philly case. Kearns is the attorney who took over the case, and now she has withdrawn as well. This is clearly an attempt to deprive Donald Trump of legal representation, and it's also mob rule. So let's give President Trump's legal team some space while they put their case together. That's their right. They've got enough to deal with and an almost superhuman deadline to deal with as well. But when it's completed, it'll have to be built as solid as a tank if they expect it to go anywhere. Well, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel below and clicking the notification bell. Please leave a like and a comment, and share this video as well if you really enjoyed it. And if you want more of my news analysis and commentary, sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It's absolutely free. That's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.